India's homegrown airline, GoFirst, is moving court against an American engine manufacturer. We are learning that the airline is taking the battle to a court in America after the engine manufacturer refused to follow the Singapore arbitration award. Niranjan is joining us live. He has more details into that big story breaking right now. Niranjan, what more do we know about this?
There are two aspects to the story right now, Adipti, this evening. We have details of how, GoFirst, and this is something that we touched upon, Dipti, when you were there at the Republic Summit as well. We asked this question to the Civil Aviation Minister about the troubles that GoFirst has been facing with this American engine maker vis-a-vis supplying of engines, to which even the Civil Aviation Minister responded. So we'll play out what the Civil Aviation Minister said in a short while from now. Just to give you a little bit of a brief about what is going on vis-a-vis GoFirst and their issues with this American engine maker. GoFirst has now moved, the story cut short, GoFirst has moved a US court, a Delaware court, asking for intervention. And Sharmila has more details. Sharmila, why don't you take us through the details of what GoFirst has done, asking for intervention in the American court, because this engine maker has been troublesome for the company. Sharmila.
Yeah, Niranjan, as we heard the Civil Aviation Minister, this engine maker has been creating a tremendous lag in their services. Many airlines have complained about the non-delivery of the machines. They're reputed, Pratt & Whitney, as we know, they're very reputed when it comes to the machinery that they manufacture. But GoFirst has been appealing with them to deliver the engines on time. In fact, because of this lag, their airline has been grounded in India. We know GoFirst has been an ace airline, actually the third largest in India, and has been servicing India for the last 17 years. And 2 years ago also they were reporting profits. So the tremendous revenue dent which this non-supply of engines has created is worrisome. And today this domestic homegrown airline has been brought to this state, and completely even after the Singapore court awarded that in favor of this airline, the American manufacturer did not respond to that positively, and thus GoFirst is now suing them in an American court. Niranjan.
There's been a development as well. We have a press release on that. But before we get into that, Sharmila, once again telling all our viewers a little bit more about the issue that GoFirst has been facing with this engine maker. In fact, we asked that question to the Civil Aviation Minister as well. We have that soundbite. If we have that soundbite, we can play that out as well, Sharmila, and then we can come back and share the details of what the company is saying this evening. Okay, I'll just play out that soundbite in just a short while, Sharmila, but I think you have a press release as well. Why don't you take us through some of the details of GoFirst's latest move in this matter?
Yeah, so the press release, the company has clearly stated that, despite their best efforts and appeal to this American company, they have not been able to deliver on time, which has in fact directly impacted their revenues, and which is now probably leading the company to the doors of the national, NCLT, and they may declare insolvency. So the matter is snowballing into an insolvency matter, Niranjan, and the blame squarely is on this American engine manufacturer, which Mr. Scindia has highlighted at the Republic Summit, as we have all heard, where he said that the Indian airlines cannot be victimized by an American engine maker, because we are expanding widely and we cannot be putting our business on stake. So clearly the lines are now, we are all waiting for the American courts to do justice, and so that this manufacturer be ordered to deliver on time, so that our airlines do not suffer for whatever ramifications their lag in business has caused us.
So this is the Our Business segment news break, and I'm just going to now play out what the Civil Aviation Minister said to Republic TV at the Republic Summit 2023. We asked him a specific question about the troubles, some of the troubles that the civil aviation sector, while booming, the troubles that we were facing with regard to supply chain issues. Here's what he said specifically on this engine maker, which is Pratt & Whitney. Mr. Scindia, certain airlines have had to ground about 50 planes or more due to disruption of jet engines. You spoke about jet engines. The maintenance by American company Pratt & Whitney. And yet, we are told that India is buying or importing engines from them. So is India planning to reduce the dependence on other countries of flight paths, make more indigenous paths here?
So yes, I'm not going to get into company-specific details because my job as Minister of Civil Aviation is not to start interfering between a contract between yourself and her.
Yes.
And I'm sure there is because both of you work with Republic TV. But having said that, my job is to ensure that the civil aviation sector moves fast in India. There are issues with engine manufacturers. I'm not going to deny that. Close to about, if I'm not wrong, about 50 to 55 planes out of our fleet of 700 today are grounded because of engine issues. But there are supply chain issues, and there are supply chain issues across the world. So one, there may be contractual issues. Second, there are supply chain issues. We are working with airlines as well as engine companies to make sure that those issues get resolved as soon as possible. Yeah. But having said that, going forward, I'm looking at a healthy supply book of aircraft into India, whether it is Akasa, whether it is Indigo, whether it is SpiceJet, whether it is Air India, and even a point that you've not raised, are regional aircrafts. Many of us are not aware, but the Udan Yojana, Ude Desh Ke Aam Nagrik, today has transported 1.17 crore people in our country that possibly could never dream of getting onto an aircraft. It has lent itself to 220,000 flights being flown in this country. And most importantly, it has created 3 new startups in regional airlines. There have been 3, India One Air, Star Air, and one other airline that have been born out of the Udan scheme. So my concentration is not only on big airports. My concentration is not only on 737s and Airbuses and A350s and Dreamliners. My concentration equally is on the last mile connectivity. Because when you provide that hub and spoke model in civil aviation, that's how you create robust demand. So my connectivity to tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, which is why I've been looking at connecting ALGs, advanced landing grounds on our border with China in Arunachal Pradesh, and flying our Dornier 228s to those areas, whether it's Tezu or other small airports on our border areas. That creation of demand from regional connectivity will also boost civil aviation traffic going forward. And as far as engine orders are concerned and engine supply is concerned, I'm confident it will iron itself out. Yes, Pratt & Whitney is going through many supply chain issues, and we have tried to impress upon them that our sector cannot be stymied because of their supply chain issues. Yeah.
I'm told we still have Sharmila with us, who has more details about what this entire controversy has been all about. And also, I think there is a press release that has been issued by GoFirst also. Sharmila, if you can hear me, do let our viewers know a little bit more about the background, about the engine, and why has this become so controversial?
Hi. So, as we know that, a lot is at stake because of this development. The amounts which our GoFirst has been quoting as losses is huge. So far, so much so is this impact of the non-supply of the engines that this homegrown airline has said that they will have to go for insolvency, and they may not fly again. So we are putting a lot on stake because of this non-delivery. So for people who are dependent on this airline for business as well as passenger services, this is a huge loss. So we will wait and watch and see how the story unfolds from here.
one point. Dipti, if I can just add one short point to give you a little bit of a background on this story. First of all, to tell you that Pratt & Whitney, from the details that we're picking up, Pratt & Whitney has not been, complying with the arbitral award as per the earlier court verdict in this particular case. The Singapore arbitral award was in favor of GoFirst is what we're picking up. And GoFirst had then taken the battle to the American court, which of course is the latest move. And this is essentially over the, engine non-delivery. Just to give you an idea, I was just reading up a little bit, Dipti, about this just before coming in. So imagine a flight with two engines is mid-air, and if one engine fails, and the flight has to make an emergency landing, for example, say, just for the sake of an example, if it's traveling from Mumbai to Lucknow, if the flight lands midway, say in Nagpur, the flight will have to, the engine which is failed will have to be replaced with another engine. And this is where the flight remains grounded because the second engine which has to replace the engine that is failed has not been delivered or is not available. And this is how critical it is. So this is why many of the flights have been grounded, because of the supply chain issues, because the engines have simply not been delivered. So that's the crux of the story. That's where the genesis of the story is. And the issue has come to this. Back to you for now, Dipti.
All right, Sharmila and Niranjan, they're getting us more insight into that story that you're seeing breaking here by the moment on Republic. GoFirst, they're moving court against the US firm. You've heard it first on Republic, also explaining to you the ramifications of what happens next. And Niranjan, before I say thank you to both you and Sharmila, how could this really affect the operations also of the airline? Have we heard anything from the airline yet? Any official word?
Yes, there is a little bit of an update, and Sharmila was taking us through it just to tell you where the situation stands as of now. They have been forced to comply, to apply to the National Company Law Tribunal for resolution and protection because of the ever-increasing failure of the Pratt & Whitney engines that power its entire fleet. Not just that, they have said that on the 3rd and 4th, their planes will not be operational. That's where the issue stands. More than that, the percentage of grounded aircraft due to this engine failure has grown from 7% in December 2019 to 31% in December 2020 to 50% in December 2022. So that's how critical this engine issue has been, Dipti.
All right, Niranjan and Sharmila, for the moment, I thank both of you for piecing together information on that big story, and a lot more details also going up on republicworld.com, where we'll actually tell you the entire backgrounder and how the story and its timeline in particular has moved. And let's move on